Sunday morning, I got an email and the doctor fired me via email. There's going to be doctors that are looking out for themselves and not looking out for you. And it's okay if you have that experience. And now I look back at that email and I almost want to print it and put it in my office because it was just funny.
And I think this is true for all young doctors, but especially true for females. Know what you're worth and stick up for yourself. So hey everybody, Dr. Shit.
Dr. Wiles.
Really excited to meet up with Dr. Wiles today. Been following her on social media for over a month here and finally decided to reach out to her. And fabulous lady. You want to tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, so I am from Arizona, grew up here, went to dental school up in Portland, Oregon. I've been practicing since 2020. And long story short, we met on Instagram. It's actually a lot of little coincidences that allowed us to meet one another. Starting from, I went to school at Adams State University in Southern Colorado. He grew up
just a little bit west of there, Colorado Springs. My best friend just had a ranch down there, so I was probably down there visiting him when she was in school down there. So really, that's where the coincidences started.
So started there, and then we each have a mentor, Dr. Ubby. My man, yes. Yeah, and he's like, you gotta follow the Educated Associate. So I added him on Instagram and told me, he's like, reach out to him. You guys have similar messages and just see what goes on. Literally 2 days later, Dr. Cody reached out to me and we started messaging back and forth. We work for the same dental group, which we didn't know. We live in the same state, which we didn't know. We also practice 2 miles from each other, which I didn't know. It just cool. Yeah.
And so, and to even go beyond from there, the doctor that she works or that kind of owns this specific office, I've met him personally several times. The guy I work with every day, they're like good friends. So when I direct messaged her, I just wanted to reach out and tell her I'm loving your content. You put out such a bubbly personality. I just love it. And then, like she said, as we're chatting, I'm like, holy cow, so I could throw a rock and I could hit your office. And we need to meet up in person and get to people some value. So we're just excited to do this. Hopefully we can do stuff like this again.
We would love to. We have similar goals, which is always awesome to meet people in dentistry. We're kind of doing the same thing, but you'll just never realize how small the dental world is. And I think this is proof. And we're excited to get to know each other. And
we're super excited to just chat, see where we've been in our lives and in our dental careers. And just like always, wanted to provide you guys some honest clarity on what's happened to us. And hopefully that'll give you a foot to stand on yourself.
Well, perfect. Dr. Tony and I were just talking about how crazy our associateship journeys have been. So for me, I've been practicing going on my 5th year. I've worked at, this is now my 4th dental office. And I'll have to say there are so many things that you don't know when you're getting your first job, things that are in contracts that you sign and you don't realize later. So for me, I have a lot of crazy stories about my jobs and how they went, but I guess I can share some of the stuff that's the not so pretty stuff that happens when you're an associate.
So before we even started recording, Dr. Wiles was just kind of laying it on me, everything she's been through. And not that it was all bad or anything by any stretch, but she's had a few things that happened that I've heard happen to a lot of associates. And it's not super fun, but I think she did an excellent job herself at managing those problems. And I think that's the advice that I think a lot of people would benefit from hearing. So it just goes to show, if you find yourself in a bad situation, it's probably not your fault. It was probably somebody pigeonholed you or trapped you there, but there's workarounds to get out, and that's what we want to help you.
Okay, perfect. So I'll kind of share my first job. I was right out of school and I was super excited. I was working for a doc who had 3 offices. I was working Tuesdays, Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. So if you know the type of people that are coming to get dentistry on a Friday and a Saturday, it is emergencies, it is root canals, it is extractions. I wasn't comfortable yet. So I was referring all these patients out because I was not wanting to be doing second molar root canals, doing impacted wisdom teeth surgery, all the things.
And rightfully so, right, guys? If you're not ready for it, you shouldn't take it on. So I think that's a great point in itself, is that she was doing the right thing.
So you got to know your comfort zone, and if you're not in it, humbly stay out of it.
Yep.
And so I was referring a lot of patients out, and on my 90 day, that was on Saturday, Sunday morning, I got an email, and the doctor fired me via email. No warning, didn't have a job. So ended up crying a lot, feeling like I did all these things wrong, and the little small message that he left for me was, the dental world's small, keep your mouth shut. And it's taken me a long time to like, not gonna say who it is, but it's a thing. It's like you get pressured into doing things and they don't want you talking about them. So just know, like, I actually have 2 other friends that have been fired via email.
That's just insane.
And it's like,
Tell you to your face what was wrong, and give you a chance to that.
like to make endorsements. Also because it's like you have a job that is providing for you and your family and the loans and everything.
And they knew they were hiring a new grad.
Correct.
It wasn't like you did anything.
No.
This should have been, anybody that's graduated knows the normal level, what a recent graduated dentist can do. And it's not what a 10-year graduate can do. So
Absolutely.
it's crazy when they think that you should be
able to perform at a level of a doctor who's been practicing 5+ years. Because I will say for me, on the first meeting 2-3 years is where I had like the hardest time with like feeling comfortable, confident in my clinical skills. But I'll tell you, there's a point in time and it's crazy that you wake up and you're like, throw anything at me. And that comes, and I promise you it comes.
Yep.
And so, yeah, in the meantime, it's just trying to figure out, do you have good mentorship to help you through those things? And there's going to be doctors that are looking out for themselves and not looking out for you. And it's okay if you have that experience, because I guarantee if you talk to a doctor who's been practicing more than 3 years, even more than 2 years, like everyone's had one of those experiences. So,
and the other thing that, I don't think that you directly said this, but the other good news, and just so everyone heard, she got out of this place in about 3 months. So while that sucked, and it probably was a terrible 3 months, and I absolutely agree, if someone fired me via email, I'd be crying all Sunday when I got that email. But it was over with, and it wasn't dragging out for years and years. I think you did a good job. What did you do to move on quickly?
So for me, it was just immediately reaching out. I'm from Arizona, and so I knew a lot of people in this area. And people were glad to have me. And so like that was the other thing of not feeling so low about myself, because we're type A personality. It was like super good in school, always have been super successful. And to have that type of like ego blow, it was really hard for me to be. My first job as a dentist, I got fired via email, but I just didn't really let it simmer very long. And now I look back at that email and I almost want to like print it and like put it in my office, because it was just funny. If you think about it now, it's like the lack of maturity from a doctor who'd been practicing for 15 years to not mentor me, to not
Selfish.
help me help him. So I don't know, it's not a big deal anymore, but at the time it was a big deal.
I love that. And I played sports, and I used to do things like that to motivate myself. I'd put something up in the locker. So
Yeah.
I could totally see how you were wanting to use that as motivation. You've obviously moved along and really done fabulous for yourself since then. So I think that's excellent. And I think that's wonderful. And thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd just say, like, there's gonna be lots of like hiccups, ups and downs, but it's like every office you work at, you will learn something from another doctor, from yourself. All the like little bad things that have happened had made me like a much more comfortable, confident provider, and I know where I stand. And so I don't know, I think it was worked out like how it's supposed to work out.
Do you think that gave you more confidence in a way?
It did. I feel like it did give me more confidence in like how I would ask for things in a contract, things that I would not allow myself to do, things, the expectations that I have with my team and my management. So I went from being like kind of more of a shy doctor, but like upbeat, to more like don't mess with me, but still upbeat. And you would be surprised, like being a young female in dentistry, like you have to have that for people to respect you. So yeah, I don't get taken advantage of anymore.
I love this. My wife is a pediatrician. She tells me this all the time.
Yeah.
And I think this is true for all young doctors, but especially true for females. Know what you're worth and stick up for yourself. I struggle with that personally. It's something I've had to work on. My wife is a little bit of a pistol, so she has no problem with it, but she always tells me that if you don't stick up for yourself, nobody's going to. So I think that's fabulous advice, and great job.
Yeah.
We've been talking about what our 3 main pieces of advice, just from a very overview perspective, might be to help associate dentists. And we kind of agreed about 3 really big, overwhelming topics. And so we wanted to just kind of give our own feel on those. You want to start?
Yeah. So the first thing we're talking about in his awesome quote is comparison is the thief of joy. And it's so true, because you get practicing and you're looking at what everybody else is doing, what kind of procedures they're doing, what specialty procedures they're doing, how much money are they making compared to you. And it just is never ending. And no one's working the same type of job. No one's working, me and all my best friends from dental school, we don't even work in the same state. We are working, some are corporate, some are private, and you just can't compare it. And what it comes down to is, like we were just saying, like if you're making ends meet, you're paying your bills and you're getting better every day, it's like you gotta stop looking at what everybody else is doing and make sure much miserable. So compare to just yourself. Where were you last month? Where are you going? And set your own goals and then celebrate those goals. No why to fail. Yeah, actually celebrate them.
She had a post about this on a lake, watched it, loved it, completely agree. I think as professionals, as high achievers, we're always, when I get to this point, I'll be happy. Then you get there and you're still sad. So you say, when I get to this point, well, that goalpost is always going to be valid. So I love that. When you get your goalpost, you need to celebrate that. Stop. Appreciate it. Also, to that end, I think that none of us are operating by ourselves. We all have families, we have friends, we have other folks that help get us to this point in our life. They too have been anticipating some of these goals. So if you just blow it off like it was no big deal, well, they're going to kind of be like, well, we spent 4 years in dental school. Shouldn't we be excited that you graduated? Well, heck yeah, you need to be excited. That's fantastic. And you should celebrate that. That doesn't mean go partying in Vegas, but, kind of taking a moment to appreciate everything you've accomplished is great. I feel strongly that when you compare yourself to others, it never puts you in a good spot. That's not to say you shouldn't look at somebody else's dental work and give yourself something to aim for. I know I worked with a doctor that's 35 years ahead of me in my career. To think that I would place as good of an implant as him is insane. He's done thousands, I've done 50. Agreed about them.
Yeah, so I would say with that too is don't compare your day 1 to someone's day 1,000. That is something I have a really hard time with, where I'm like, and I'm gonna shout him out again, Dr. Abby, because he's from me in. He's been doing this and he's been doing it a long time and he's had all these steps along the way. And it's like, I can't be how he is when he's been doing it for several years. So just know where you're at. And don't compare yourself to someone who's been doing it a lot longer. It just use those people as mentors, use those people as a guide to kind of help propel you to where you want to be. But comparison's the thief of joy.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I think that is such a great point in life, and dentistry and careers and everything. Yes. Let's see. You want to hit on number 2?
Yeah. So another thing we were talking about is don't change who you are to kind of mold into an office that you're in. It's really easy when you get out of dental school to just do what the office is already doing. And to some extent, yes. Like your dental assistants, they know way more than you when you get out of school. And they're going to be guiding you and helping you.
Great.
Do the procedures efficiently, do the procedures safely. But remember that you are still the doctor. This is something that I struggled with a lot when I first started practicing, because I'm a young female provider and I would let people kind of just push me where I needed to go. And over time, what it ended up doing is just lost authority, not necessarily respect, because my team always respected me, but it didn't allow me to kind of grow in the way that I wanted to. So make sure that you're doing everything you can, but be you and stay true to you. What do you think about that?
I think that she's exactly right. And I think when you start at a new office, there's always going to be nuanced things that you might have to change the way you say something because it meshes better. But I think at the end of the day, being you and speaking the way that you speak and addressing patients the way that you would typically address patients and not changing to fit into a different environment all the time means that you're going to start to attract the patients that would mess with you anyways. And guess what? Those patients are going to work better with you, which means you're going to have better outcomes and everyone's going to be happier longer term. So I think being you is very important to your success. And you are special. You made it to dental school.
Absolutely.
You graduated dental school, so you were an amazing person. So don't be afraid to use you.
And I would say just to add to that is we're in the business of relationships and people. My day-to-day and how well dentistry goes, the patient doesn't know, but I know, because I'm someone who holds myself to a really high level, but how they remember it and what the experience they have, that's what they remember. So you need to cater towards people who are fearful and have anxiety. You'd be surprised when you just start talking to someone like their family or friends, how much easier it is to do dentistry. So I really challenge you to take the time and don't be speeding through stuff. Take the extra time with patients and really cater to them. And then dentistry completely changes once you do it that way. So
yeah, treat the person, not the problem. And things go way better. Yeah, very, very strong points there again. So our final point, and I think this is very true. There's been all these posts recently about how much dental education costs these days. And this is not to debate about the cost of the tuition, whether it's 200, 300, 400, 500,000, whatever it is, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars you've dumped into your brain. At this point, you know some, but you know very little in terms of the whole gambit of dentistry. So you need to keep just doubling down, just keep betting on yourself, do continuing education, go take courses on how to just speak to people, become a better communicator. Learn how to delegate tasks.
Correct. Delegating's huge. Yeah.
Yes, the more you can invest in yourself, the more you're going to earn long term. So don't give up on investing on yourself just because you're done with school.
I think too, people think I just paid all this money for dental school, I'm good. I promise you, you're not good yet. You still have a lot of things you gotta learn. I spent a lot of time and money. It took me a little bit of time. I'd say like the first 2 years I was spending like smaller money on CE, and then this year, I mean, I've already spent tens of thousands of dollars on my CE. And it's worth it.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, tens of thousands of dollars. And I was really nervous to do it this year, but 2024 was the year that I was dumping into CE and investing in me. And the amount of growth that I've had in the first half of the year has been crazy. So their courses cost money, and then you can execute that, and then that's how you grow. So don't be afraid of that type of stuff. If no one else is taking CE courses, be the first one in your friend group to do it, and encourage other people to do it too.
Yeah, and then just along the final comment on those events, you can also use those as opportunities to meet other people in the dental community. So I know that I like to go to dental, just even free ones here in Arizona, and I just like to get up with other local dentists, and definitely those in-person ones. You can make good connections, and I do think you learn way more in person. So
that's what I would say is like I was just in Salt Lake City this past weekend doing a CE on full mouth rehab. It's something that, you know, when you're just come out of school, is very scary. I'm still kind of scared, but I'm gonna learn how to do it. I did great. See that positive top there is what helps me. But I met so many cool doctors over the weekend, and I mean a girl who is in the Phoenix Metro, and you just meet a lot of people that have a lot of similar stories that are working towards the same goals. And it's like the more people you have in your corner, the better you do. So go meet more people. If anything, that's a good point.
Completely agree. Keep learning, keep growing, keep meeting people, and keep drilling.
She drilling. I love that.